Welcome to the Embrace Strength podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Crocker. I am an experienced trainer and active life professional. I work with people who are struggling with nagging pain to get back to the activities they love without fear of re-injury. This podcast is here to educate and provide value to you on all things health, fitness, staying active, and personal development. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to today's Feisty Friday. I'm excited to chat today about this topic, all about how you should stop working around your pain and instead work with it. So I have this very specific example in my mind that I want to talk about today, but you can really apply this to any type of pain that you have. So I'm going to go with the example of a shoulder pain. So my background is like the CrossFit space. I work with people who are active, they do CrossFit, they run, and so, or already strength trained. Okay, so shoulder pain is something common that I see and help people with. So let's say you might be dealing with some shoulder pain. So you avoid all movements that involve going overhead. So you don't do any pressing overhead, and because it always hurts your shoulders, so you don't really know what to do. But the thing about just completely disregarding pushing overhead is that over time, it's not necessarily going to get any better. You might not be in pain because you are not pressing overhead, but it's not making anything better either. You're actually getting weaker and stiffer over time, and like you're more likely to get injured if you're not strong in that area. So completely avoiding movements or ranges of motion that cause you pain is not necessarily doing you any favors, right? So here's what I recommend. You got to work with what you have, baby. Okay. And what I mean by that is we'll stick with the shoulder example. If you have limited range of motion in your shoulder, yes, we should not be pressing directly overhead, but let's work with the range of motion we do have. So what I mean by that is scaling it to something like a landmine press, where you're pressing at an angle instead of pressing directly overhead. So we're going to press at an angle that feels smooth like butter for you. It causes no discomfort and it feels good. And we're going to work within that range of motion and we're going to strengthen it. Okay, so we're going to work within the range of motion we have. We are going to strengthen it while we are also working on improving the range of motion through some specific corrective exercises to improve your range of motion. So see what I'm talking about with working within the range of motion that you have and strengthening the range of motion you do have while simultaneously working on improving your range of motion. This is the way I do this process with all of my clients, and you know what happens? They get stronger, and over time we gain more range of motion, and we slowly increase the range of motion and strengthen new ranges of motion until we are able to do full range of motion and strengthen that full range of motion. Okay, this is something that so many people are missing out on because you think that just because it hurts to do a movement, you should avoid that movement completely, which is just not true. Like I said, not doing you any favors. And even if you don't see any changes now, fast forward to 5 years from now, I can tell you it'll pop up again. Now, another way that this can be applied, some other examples I have in my head other than pressing, is deadlifting, back pain and deadlifting. People avoiding hinge movements altogether because deadlifting hurts their back. And again, the same problem is happening because if you are not doing any hinging at all, then over time, your back is just getting weaker, you're getting stiffer, and you're more likely to get injured doing something stupid like picking up the laundry basket if your back is not strong and resilient, right? Because if we're not strengthening it, then we're just going to get weaker over time. And so in an example with back pain, it's like, yeah, we're probably not going to be barbell deadlifting if you're dealing with back pain, but we are going to be hinging. Like, what about some body weight good mornings? Like, really base level stuff and rebuilding from there. And it really makes a huge difference. It really does. Let's see. There was one more example I wanted to chat through. One more example I wanted to chat through is squatting. Avoiding squatting because it makes your knees hurt or your back hurt. Again, same thing. I see the mistakes being made here with the squatting is either you're typically not avoiding squatting altogether. Your squats just look really shitty, right? You're the person in the gym that's doing like quarter squats, and you might think you're doing so good because you're going heavy, but your range of motion is only like a quarter depth. Okay, that's not really what we're going for here. Okay, you should be experimenting with other types of squatting other than just like an air squat or a back squat, right? So thinking about taking it down to one leg at a time. You know, I love my unilateral exercises. What about split squats? How do those feel on your knees? What about if we just do to half depth? What about if we do single leg step ups? How does that feel? What is a height that feels comfortable on your knee that we can still work and strengthen and train as we work on that range of motion over time? I think you see where I'm going with this. The goal is to strengthen the range of motion that you have while we work on improving the range of motion. This is how we get stronger. This is how we avoid injuries. These are the types of things I do with my clients who are dealing with nagging pain, and this is how we get rid of it for good. So if this is something that you're interested in or something that you want to chat more about, reach out to me, send me an email, send me a message. Let's see if doing an assessment can make sense for you so you can start putting the puzzle pieces together on why you're feeling the way that you are. Talk soon.